Hello, everyone. This is Pecos Hank Shima, and you're listening to Stormfront Freaks Podcast.
And again, I'm telling you, when tornadoes start flying, they'll find you.
You know, I really don't like severe weather.
Really?
Yeah, it's high stress. People die. You know, and so it's not a lot of fun in that respect.
No better way to truly understand and communicate the weather that you're forecasting than to experience it.
So I'm like, we got to go live. We got to go live. It's coming in. It's coming in. So we were, I think that was one of the earliest times we've been on the air live.
Well, the rental car stuff was a long story.
But that was a lot of fun with Phil and the gang. They do a great job over there.
The Stormfront Freaks Podcast, baby. It's the best in the world. Jump back.
Him laughing is funnier than anything.
I don't understand what happened. I really don't.
The following program is a production of the Stormfront Freaks Network.
So, hey, Storm Freaks, it's Phil, and I'll tell you what, it's about time we get this Buckeye on the show. We got the Weather Channel's Mike Bettis. He's going to rip it up with us right here on episode 244 of the Stormfront Freaks Podcast.
Going green. Greenwich. Saddle them up. You got it, boss.
All right, everybody. So welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast. This is the award-winning Stormfront Freaks podcast, and it's brought to you by our ever-growing members on our YouTube channel. They're starting to scroll across the screen right now, but want to thank everybody that's joining us. I'm actually going to pull up, too. We'll get our chats scrolling here. We got, everyone's joining us for lunch. This is like a lunch hour.
Let's go.
Of the Freaks. I called it Brunch with Bettis earlier. But I see Caitlin's on, Dreambert, Amanda, John. We got a bunch of people joining us, so that's awesome. And I'll tell you what, you too can become a member of the Freaks. And Brady, tell people with your Buckeye in the background there, why do people want to become a member of the Freaks?
Well, first of all, we got Brutus Buckeye in the background, and Mike, a former Ohio State guy, is myself. But you can become a member because we got emojis, we got exclusive member-only content, and you're just supporting here what we do at the Stormfront Freaks Network. So all you got to do is there's a join button below. You smash that join button, you become a Cat 1 member. That's $5 a month. That's nothing. That's like a cup of coffee a day for 1 day a month. And then you've also got the $15 a month level as well, which is like 3 cups of coffee for a month. I mean, that's literally nothing. So join below, hit that join button, become a member, join the family.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But hey, let's find out which of our co-hosts are here this beautiful afternoon, and we're gonna get our little wicked weather report on.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. All right, well, welcome to today's Wicked Weather Report. I am Storm Chaser, freelance meteorologist Jennifer Watson. You'll occasionally see me on the Weather Channel and some of their fun shows. On August 28th, ex-Hurricane Aaron's remnant slammed Europe's Alps, unleashing chaos. Northern Italy and southern Switzerland saw nearly 6 to 8 inches of rain, triggering flash floods. And supercell storms hurled golf ball-sized hail and tornadoes with winds roaring through the Adriatic. And the severe weather Europe issued high-risk alerts as communities battled nature's wrath. So it didn't, when something develops in the Atlantic, it has impacts far-reaching, even in parts of Europe. Now, speaking of high-risk weather, I hear Brady has information on a new book coming out soon.
You heard right. It's not my book because I'm not a great writer, but it is a new book coming out from Pecos Hank, none other than the legend. I am Outbreak and Team Dominator meteorologist, Stormcat 5, and Pecos Hank has got this new book, guys. is called Storm Chasing Nature's Wildest Weather. It's out October 28th. That is going to be a banger. I'm going to get it. Hopefully we all get it here because what he does on YouTube, the footage he gets is absolutely amazing. This book packs 3 decades of storm chasing tales. That's longer than I've been alive. Stunning tornado and lightning photos, clear science breakdowns. We all love those science breakdowns because the photos are great, but the science is even better. From record-breaking twisters of the Green Ghost discovery, it is a must-read for all Stormfront Freaks fans. So get it. Pre-order that book on Amazon and other bookstores. You can dive into Hank's wild weather world. Check him out on YouTube as well. I'm sure you guys are already subscribed there as well. Serena, we got Serena here. I hear you've got some news for the people who want to take their own photos.
I do. Yeah. I'm almost wondering where Greggles is. He would love this. So what's up, everyone? I'm meteorologist and author Serena Arnold. In August of 2025, Sue Ray dropped the Venus full frame anamorphic cinema lens, a storm chaser's dream. Its ultra-wide view captures epic stormscapes with high light transmission for dark, stormy skies. Built for rugged hurricane and tornado shoots, it pairs perfectly with weather-sealed cameras like the Nikon Z9. Get this lens and film nature's fury in stunning detail.
Wow. The vibes are good right now.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We're feeling good. We're feeling great.
Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for a whirlwind of weather expertise. Hailing from the Weather Channel in Atlanta, Georgia, it is the Emmy Award-winning meteorologist and storm-chasing legend, Mike Bettis. Fresh off his latest Emmy for jaw-dropping hurricane coverage, Mike's been battling nature's fiercest storms since 2003. From surviving the record-breaking EF3 El Reno tornado and EF3 El Reno. No.
Wow.
That's an EF. That was an EF5 in El Reno in 2013. Where his SUV was tossed 200 yards to delivering live reports from the eye wall of hurricanes Katrina, Sandy, and Irma. This Ohio State grad has faced it all. Blizzards, floods, wildfires, and more. As the fearless co-host of Weather Unfiltered, he is the ultimate storm warrior. Man, that's such a cool title. Armed with a passion for weather and a knack for keeping us safe. Get ready to ride the storm with the one and only Mike Bettis. Oh my God. Thanks so much for being here with us, man.
I feel like I got to walk out like WWE after like some fireworks or something. That was so, thank you so much. It's so nice of you to say. That was impressive.
Yeah. I mean, when an intro like that, we almost got to let you pick the song next time. You know, like you tell us the theme song.
I like that one a lot. Or maybe we'll do like, I was like Thunder by Imagine Dragons. So I was a good number too.
That's a solid choice. That's a very solid choice. All right. So you can't have a resume like that without having not been bitten by the bug, so to speak, at some point. And every meteorologist has that story. So before we dive into some of the crazy stuff you've done, tell us the why. What made you even get into meteorology in the first place?
Honestly, I will be honest with you. There was never that moment necessarily, but there were lots of moments, if that makes sense. So growing up in Ohio, we got to experience every season, right? And I grew up in Akron, and we were like in that snow belt, and snow was like, as a kid, that was the thing, right? And, I lived through the blizzards of 77, 78. Which were truly epic. We were out of school for a week, and we would build snow tunnels between our house and our neighbor's house. And so that's kind of like one of my earlier memories of really intense weather, but we were no stranger to thunderstorms and then extreme heat. And, but falls were amazing in Ohio. But, you got the quintessential fall colors there, maples and oaks and all that. And so, for me, it was always growing up watching, the forecast on TV, and there was a legend in Cleveland. His name was Dick Goddard. He passed away a few years ago, and he had been doing weather for decades. And even Al Roker, at one point was my weatherman in Cleveland as well. And so you kind of had these iconic personalities, and I never really thought I would be a TV meteorologist necessarily, but it worked out that way, and those were kind of my inspirations as a kid, Dick Goddard and Al Roker.
Mike, I I love your history and your passion, not just for like a lot of us are, storm chasers, extreme weather, but you also love all of the seasons. One of the greatest memories I have of you, and this is me actually holding like 2-week-old Zara, was you were covering Irma and you were in Irma's eye. And I remember there was like a brief spin up. We think that occurred like right behind you, but can you break down a little bit, because you've been on the front lines for just about any type of, severe thunderstorm, tornado, hurricane, all of it, blizzard. What was Irma like, maybe compared to anything else? And kind of give us an idea of what you're thinking for this hurricane season.
Yeah, well, that moment that you're talking about really was one that I honestly wasn't even aware of. So we were in Naples, Florida, and we're getting beat up pretty good by the eye wall of the hurricane. And then we got just a bit of the eye that came through. It really was like, it was a quad workout. Like I was so braced. The wind was just relentless, right? Our cameraman was in the car and he was shooting out the window. So the car, was taking the beating instead of him. He wanted to keep his camera as dry as he could. So he literally shot the whole thing out the window, the hours as I was just standing out there in it. But the moment that you mentioned was this spin up that occurred. There was literally a little tornado that was literally just across the street. It was 75 feet away, maybe. And I had no idea that it even happened. But I do recall at that moment that the winds had been calming for a good half hour, 40 minutes or so. And then we got this really big gust and it kind of pulled me down the sidewalk. And I was like, whoa, that was unexpected. And I didn't know what had happened until a few hours later when I got a text from a friend that said, hey man, I thought your days of chasing tornadoes were over. And I was a little confused by the message, like, huh? And then he sent me the video of it. Yeah. And it's like, there was literally a tornado right behind you. And so then I saw it on the video. I was like, oh, that was the moment. I literally had no idea what had happened. And then I remember getting home. My wife was like, dude, like, are you, when are you going to give this up? Like, enough is enough already. Like, and I was like, you're kind of right. That was a close call. Yeah, that was a really interesting moment. One of those where, I was totally caught off guard, not expecting, something like that, because the storm at that point was pulling away from us. But, little vortices, within some of those outer bands that got us. And we were just, lucky not to be hit by that. There were some power poles and stuff that were knocked down the street. And so, there really was something intense there. As far as this season goes, to me, it started to play out a lot like last year, where, we've got this kind of pause, if you will. There just hasn't been a lot of action. Here we are, September now, peak of hurricane season, and there's not much to talk about. So I think it's going to be late loaded, just like it was last year. Sea surface temperatures are really warm. You tend to get, low wind shear environment this time of year. And so I feel like, mid-late September through October is going to be active, just like it was last year.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And I just have to say, I remember watching, and at that time I was at the Weather Channel full time. And I remember like the emails and the chat were like, did that just happen? Like, what was behind Mike? And we all were like playing it in slow-mo. We're just like,
yeah.
Oh my God, you got so close. Yeah. You got very lucky.
For sure.
I have to admit that was, I remember that vividly. And that's probably one of my top 3 Weather Channel moments in history. I thought it was epic.
Well, it worked out. Thank goodness. But yeah. So
you were okay, which is great.
Everything worked out okay, and we celebrated that evening. It was just a crazy storm all around. There were coconuts and stuff all around. We'd actually purposely picked this big 4-lane highway. There were no power poles or anything. We're just kind of open, right? I didn't want to be by anything that was going to fall on us. And so it was a decent spot to pick. And there were all these coconuts afterwards. And so we were taking our coconuts and we were smashing them on, the parking curbs, and then doing full Survivor, drinking coconut water right out of the coconuts. And
That's amazing.
another hurricane survived, and then it was a long trip home from there because you certainly couldn't fly, but there was no gas, there was no power, and we were hypermiling on the highway from Naples back to Atlanta.
Wow.
We made it all the way to like Macon.
Wow.
Just going below the speed limit and driving straight through. And we ended up getting like, whatever it was, 500 or something miles out of that tank of gas before we finally found gas, all the way up in Georgia. That's how bad, bad it was. So,
wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Memorable storm.
Well, yeah. And Mike, like I remember watching your coverage, like it was incredible because I was actually just down there. I know exactly that highway that you're on. I was literally on that like a week ago. And that area specifically has been hammered the past couple of years with hurricane after hurricane, and also former OSU grad. So go Bucks, right? We actually did the OHIO at the back in college when you came for the symposium. So
yeah,
we did. That was great. I love that the speech you gave there. So, but my question is for the folks, like our hurricane seasons are getting later and later and later. It seems like the past couple have been just backloaded. Do you think the public like gets a little complacent with that because they think like we're at the peak of hurricane season and we've got one area that we're watching that might do something, right? 20% in the main development region, but like, do you think people are getting complacent?
Well, I certainly hope not. I mean, if you've gone through one before, you probably are a little gun shy, right? And so you're always preparing, right? So I would hope not. I think that maybe more than anything else, people look at it and go, well, maybe it's, season isn't going to pan out the way it is. But history teaches us a lot of lessons, right? And so we learned from previous seasons where we had big hurricanes that happened late in the season. You can go even back to like 2004. I mean, think about when we had Wilma that came late in the season as well, a devastating hurricane. So, I think the sea surface temperatures are very interesting because they're staying warm, well into the season. They start, even I'm a little bit, the only reason I think we don't get them a little bit earlier, although, like last year, Beryl was a big outlier, is that the wind shear tends to knock them down a bit. Wind shear can tend to be a little bit higher early season than it is late in the season. That's why I think we tend to get them rapid fire September and October. And October in particular these days, in the last several years, has become very active.
Mike, I have to say, is that Joplin that just got in the chair behind you?
That's unfortunately we lost Joplin a couple years ago. This is Winnie. She is our 7-year-old golden retriever chow mix, and so she's just that's
she wanted to photobomb you here in Stormfront Freaks.
I'm probably cutting into her nap time.
That's pretty cool what you say though about the hurricane seasons. I mean, that's something that we're, I'm always looking at and very interested in how the hurricane seasons are evolving, because the general public has certain perceptions and is due to whatever factors may be to see changes in the things we've normally had happen, like our hurricane seasons. How do you tell the public about that? And so, what are your thoughts on I guess you kind of hinted at it, hurricane season getting longer and longer with warmer waters. How is that going to continue to evolve in the future? Are we going to see more and more late season storms because the ingredients aren't going to be right in that June, July time period? And, or because the oceans are warmer, what are you thinking in the long term, that we might see some bigger changes?
Yeah, I think that's certainly well within the realm of possibility here. And I think the trends will probably take it in that direction. And, it also tends to be this time of year and in October where you can get some of these fronts that also come down and dangle over Florida that become trigger points for storms close to home in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, a lot of times this time of year, we're looking for that main development region out in the Atlantic for storms to form and become long track hurricanes, across the basin. But the Gulf of Mexico is always boiling, it seems. And so that can always be a hotbed with those fronts fronts that sit there. But any part, this time of year, any part of the basin though is not off limits. And those sea surface temperatures, there's something dramatic would have to happen to see us reverse the trend as far as the anomalies we're seeing with the warm temperatures, and there's just nothing really that's going to do that, I don't think. And so this is our new normal, that big powerful hurricanes fueled by turbocharged waters is just our new reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think at this point it's probably, sadly, but probably about mitigation and things like building codes and just, I've seen it down in Southwest Florida. They've literally raised the building code 10 feet. You don't have to build a house 10 feet off the ground to prevent from storm surge. But kind of switching topics a little bit, Mike, what I'm curious is, so you've had a long and incredibly successful career. And your job and how it's evolved has kind of been a dream job, I think, for a lot of people. What does your day look like now? Like what does an average day of Mike Bettis look like? And as it's evolved,
and I'll throw this out there. Be careful when he says he's a young guy. So when he says a long and successful career, just take it's relative. He's a young guy.
No, listen, dude, I get it. 30 years this year.
Wow.
I have been doing this. I got into broadcasting when I was 23 years old, and here we are, right? I would say this. Career-wise, I'm at a nice, manageable place in my life. Listen, days are busy, right? When you have family and kids and obligations and stuff. So for me, it's like I get up in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. The kids got to get on the bus, right? And then as soon as the kid's on the bus, I head to the gym and I go work out. I've gotten back into triathlons again recently, so I'm spending 2-3 hours at the gym. I come home, I walk the dog, I have lunch. The kid comes home, gets off the bus, the wife comes home from work, we say hi, bye, and then it's off to work, and then we do the show, and the shows have gotten longer than they used to be. We do 4-hour shows now, which is a lot of time on air. But it's I have Alex Wilson and Dr. Rick Knabb are just we form a nice trio. I think we've gotten ourselves into a groove here the last many years, and it just all works. And then show's over at 10, I go home, I try to unwind, go to bed, get a short night's sleep, and do it all over again. So that's kind of where my life sits right now. Work is good. Work is really manageable. The Weather Channel is we have a good team, and we're kind of in a groove. After a while, you have a lot of veterans that work on your show team. Everyone knows what they're doing, and it's just, it's a comfortable show to anchor.
And Mike, along with that, I'm kind of going to spin it a little bit, but I love watching the three of you together. You do have a chemistry and you have a lot of fun, which makes it a lot of fun to watch because, co-anchors or anyone on TV, when they don't like each other, it's very evident. And so I love the chemistry that you have on air. One thing I kind of want to talk about and switch to is the age of AI and AI modeling. And, some of the AI modeling is doing better than the classic models that we typically look at. What have been some of the trends that you've seen with AI modeling, and what do you think about that into the future as we look ahead, even just for a couple of years?
Well, I think here is like a really excellent, good use case for AI, right? I think, there's so much talk about the bad that AI can be, and we could talk about that endlessly, right? But here's a moment where you can use it to your advantage, right? And, if they're only just going to keep learning, that's a good thing. Some of them are statistical based. So, take that for what it is, because they're kind of just going off of history, right? But as soon as they start learning, as soon as we, find a way to implement more data and observations into those models, who's to say that they can't, maybe even outdo what the supercomputers are doing now, which is, just a benefit to humanity, honestly. The more accurate forecast you have, the better off everyone is, the more prepared everybody is. And I think that is, in my hope, I guess, and I hope it becomes reality, is that, those forecasts are, insanely accurate, 5 days out. Not that the Hurricane Center is doing a bad job right now. The models have gotten incredibly strong. Even in the last decade, especially with intensity forecasting, they've been doing a much better job. We've narrowed down the track forecast tremendously, but if we can narrow it in half, if we can improve that intensity forecast even more, I mean, that's just a home run.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So to anyone who's younger out there, students who are thinking about getting into meteorology at some point in their future, storm chasing, what advice do you have? Because I feel like right now more than ever, things are moving at lightning speed. Like if you want to do something, you need to do it now. What advice would you give?
Well, listen, the advancements in technology are frighteningly fast, right? And every weather entity in the world is trying to figure out how to use AI to make a forecast. And honestly, I'm a little scared of it, honestly, because then I think, gosh, the humans, that human forecaster that we've become so accustomed to, is that going to become obsolete? Where we just become used to an avatar presenting our weather. Listen, it changed dramatically when the internet and apps came out and everyone got just the data right on their phone. They get the forecast. They didn't need somebody necessarily to present it to them, but it's all about context too, right? When that moment comes where you need somebody to explain something to you, is the AI going to do it? Is it going to do it in a way that's in tune with what your needs are, whether that be hurricanes, severe weather, wildfires, you name it, moments where things are changing, quickly on the ground, or, you need to impart some breaking information or some context locally, how's that going to work? So I would say for those that are new, or, people that have aspirations to be meteorologists or aspirations to, or already in the field but are wondering what it's going to be. I don't know what broadcast meteorology will be 5 years or 10 years from now. I really don't. It's changing quickly. I hope there's a need for humans. I really do. I think in the field, it's irreplaceable, right? I think that honestly, we're going to get to a point where a studio on-camera meteorologist may be a rare breed at some point in time. But I don't think you can ever replace what's happening out live in the field when it comes to weather coverage. To me, that's irreplaceable and it's invaluable. And I think that people still need to understand that, we need to have this inherent trust in humans, right? Let's not put all our eggs in that AI basket and realize that we still need each other and we still need to rely on each other for legitimate conversations about whatever it may be, in this case, weather.
Well,
so on that note, Mike, how has your storytelling changed? Because if the challenge there is how to communicate the weather and teach and educate that, you've gone through different programs on the Weather Channel and obviously, with the YouTube and social media burst. How has your storytelling and communication of weather changed and adapted yourself?
Oh, that's a really solid question. I don't know if it's changed dramatically over the course of years, or maybe just small refinements here and there. But I tell a story about when I was new in the business. I'd only been in the business maybe like a little over a year or two, and I was working in Columbus, Ohio, and I was 20, like 24 years old, and I really wanted to, I was trying to get my broadcast seal at the time, and my news director had brought me into his office, and he's like, "Yeah, you're so stiff out there. You're just all about the stats and stuff." I was like, "Well, I'm trying to get my seal and stuff." He's like, "Let me ask you a question." He's like, "Who do you like watching in local news? Like, tell me who it is you like to watch." And I said, "Oh, I like Tom Sorrells. I think he's really good." And he says, "Why do you like to watch Tom?" I was like, "Oh, he's funny. Like, he just, he comes across really quirky. I like his presentation." He goes, "Bingo." He goes, you didn't care he has a seal. You said, "I like him. Like, he's personable. Like, you get in." He's like, "If you're too young," he goes, "people aren't going to trust you until you're 10 years older than this." He goes, "No one's going to trust you." He goes, "So be likable. Work on your personality. Just tell people things about the festival that they're going to, or their kid's softball game, or whatever it might be. Make them like you, and then eventually they'll keep watching you, and over time they'll trust you. Trust comes with time. Likability happens almost right away. So to me, that was a pretty valuable lesson in broadcast, because I was new to broadcasting, and my for a lot of us, meteorology is a science, right? And we think ourselves kind of as scientists. And so that's how I was thinking of myself. But I think with broadcast, it's a good combination of both, right? So for me, it's always been about how can I come across as just the guy next door that you want to have a beer with, you're going to go do a good cookout with, and you're friendly with. To me, that's always the goal, right? And so to me, if that's irreplaceable. You can't AI that necessarily, in my opinion, because people know fake, right? They can spot it a mile away, in my opinion. And if you're not legit, if you're not real, people will call you out, and they know it. And I think in some regards, however good AI gets, I don't think it can ever really replace that human connection that you can have with a viewer, and whether it be whatever platform, right? Whether it's television or YouTube or streaming or whatever it is, right? I think that people still crave that moment, that human moment.
That's great. And before we go to break, Serena, why don't you tell folks about your Stormfront Freaks education with WX Serena? And you got a little something to share too, right? And you're muted.
This is my first day on the internet, so thank you guys. Awesome. All right. I know, right? Yes, I do. So we do the weather education shorts, still posting those here on the Stormfront Freaks channel, where we're doing short snippets about weather and teaching you guys things that you want to learn and answering your questions. So today's weather education segment that we're going to do live here today is we're going to talk about schools. This ties really well into what Mike Bettis was talking about. And there are a ton of schools. I found this really great map on Reddit that shows a United States map and all the meteorology schools that meet National Weather Service forecaster standards, meaning you're taking enough of the physics and mathematics courses, which we all dread, but we all kind of have to get through. If you're interested in pursuing a degree in meteorology, I want you to know that it's never too late. And there's lots of different ways to do it. And people ask me all the time, well, with all these choices, how do you decide what school to go to? And the first thing I always tell people is, well, decide if you want to stay close to home or if you want to travel. And then, as you can tell by looking at this map, there's options almost close to almost everybody, or you can go far away. If you're open to traveling, think about what it is that you'd be interested in studying. Do you want to study winter weather? Do you want to study severe weather? Do you want to study tropical weather? Do you want to study lightning? There are different schools in different regions across the country that specialize in all of these. So ask yourself some questions about, what is it that you think you'd like to do after you graduate? What type of meteorology are you most interested in? And then look for schools that will support that. So if you're interested in severe weather, you can't go wrong with a lot of the schools in the plains and in the Midwest. If you want to study tropical, anything along the Gulf Coast or the Atlantic coast or in the state of Florida, which covers both, is going to be fantastic. If you're interested in winter weather, a lot of the schools in the Northeast are really helpful for that. Now, they all study, all cover all the different types of meteorology, but those are just some high-level generalizations. You can look and see what the professors of all these different schools research and study and submit papers on and get grants on to help understand what's going to drive you. So I'll do a deeper dive tomorrow morning. We'll post that on the Stormfront Freaks YouTube page, another short talking about this education path. But if you're interested in meteorology, don't wait. Go do it now. You won't regret it.
Isn't Klotzbach in Colorado?
He is. And this is one of the things I'll talk about in the segment I post tomorrow. There's some very interesting exceptions. The University of Colorado, Colorado State University has one of the best tropical meteorology programs, but it's graduate level only. So one of the best tropical programs where Dr. Bill Gray got started and where the hurricane forecasts that they put out every year got started in landlocked Colorado, but it is graduate only. But so there are some of those exceptions, but yeah, that is where Dr. Phil Klotzbach is now, and he took over for Bill Gray after he passed.
Very interesting. So good stuff. So tell you what, folks, we are going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back with more from Mike Bettis. So stay tuned.
In a world where tornadoes and hurricanes blizzards run rampant, destroying everything in their path. One man, and one team of freaks stands in their way. Covering it all on one show.
We have a confirmed tornado
From afar and from up close. That man is Stormcat 5. That team is the Stormfront Freaks. And that show, this show, is Outbreak.
Oh my. Hey, what's up, guys? It's meteorologist Stormcat 5, and we're doing a quick Outbreak outlook for the week. And it's been a minute since I've done this. I've been on vacation. I've been down in Florida where we've been getting some serious big-time storms with this stalled front that's dropped inches of rain across the Florida peninsula all the way down into southern Florida as well. Now, that front is eventually going to get basically pushed out by another cold front this weekend, but the rest of the country absolutely quiet. There's Mike Bettis. He's going full. Now we're going back to the radar. Now we're going back to the satellite here. But this is the United States right now. And look, there's just not a lot going on. I know you guys don't like me saying the Q word, but I'm going to say it. It is quiet. Here is why. Let's take a look at the high-level pattern. We've got a little bit of a ridging and troughing over top of the United States, a trough out west, so that's keeping things a little bit cooler, where we are going to get some isolated severe weather right in this region of the trough. So we're going to have to take a look at that. But the rest of the U.S. is kind of in a benign, little bit of a trough out here as well, a little bit of a ridge here as well. It's keeping things warmer on the plains. But those big jet streams, all that energy is staying well north of the U.S. So we're not going to be looking at any widespread significant severe weather outbreaks the next couple of days. Now we got to take a look at the tropics because we are in peak hurricane season. Yesterday was the peak of hurricane season, and so far things have been quiet as well. We've had a Category 5 hurricane, and then we've had the rest of them were tropical storms. That was Aaron, but since Aaron, we have not had basically anything. So we are watching two areas right now. And Weatherfront just put out the new tropical outlook, so check it out. Big time. Love it. We got a 20% here. So we're watching this little bit of a wave pushing off the African coast, but it will be fighting some dry air and some sinking air, just like the rest of the systems that past couple of weeks here. We do have a 90% chance in the Eastern Pacific here. So we are watching potentially a hurricane that will form in the next couple of days. We had Hurricane Kiko a couple of days ago. That was absolute eye candy. Thankfully, it did not devastate anyone. It just was, just a fish storm. So those are the two areas that we're watching the next couple of days. But outside of that, guys, we just do not have a lot going on with the tropics. Okay, let's take a look at the severe weather real quick, because this is what we have severe weather the next couple of days. We could get some storms for our northern plains weather. We do have a slight risk. That is a 2 out of 5 risk up here centered in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming as well as Idaho. It goes, it doesn't really go Idaho. Could see some storms there as well. But that's what we have today. 0% tornado, 15% wind. So wind will be the main threat by far. Tomorrow, marginal risk. So things are staying quiet. We're not going to get a lot of storms, except for your North Dakota, South Dakota as well. Let's take a look at Saturday. Once again, marginal. So our weather right now, we do not have a lot going on at all. But take a look at the temperatures. Here's the big story. Is that beautiful springtime weather going to last? And the answer is maybe. Here, we got a 6-day temperature outlook right now, and much of the country is going to be warmer than normal. So the second and going into the third week of September, basically the entire country is going to be warmer than normal. So those cool temperatures that we had, unfortunately, looks like we're going to have a return, not necessarily to summer-like conditions. We're going to have temperatures in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, especially down here in the southeast. Humidity is going to return as well. So unfortunately, with those quiet conditions, we also are going to get some heat returning for the last little bit of fall here before we go into later in the fall, later in the winter. Right now, though, things are quiet. The tropics are quiet. Severe weather is relatively quiet. Things are warm. Phil, back to you. front. It'll have you blow by the competition. It's got radar, observations, models, all in one epic app. Blow by the competition! Woo!
Weatherfront, the official weather app of the Storm Front Freaks Network.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So we are here with the Weather Channel's Mike Bettis. Mike, it's been talked about many times, and I'm sure you've talked about it tons of times, is obviously the El Reno tornado and your experience there. What I want to know is this, and obviously you've done a great job, in my opinion, of discussing, because I think mental health is very important, specifically for those that are in the weather industry and reporting on the weather industry, and in that, as well as the victims and the people that are hit by severe weather. You've done a great job of talking about that, and I think that's very important. I guess what I want to know is, now you're still out in the field. I mean, you're still out reporting on hurricanes. I know you and a bunch of your cohorts recently won an Emmy. How do you manage that stress when you're still putting yourself out there in that kind of weather?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone's different, and I think that, you know, how we manage that stress is, you know, up to each individual, right? For me, having gone through issues with PTSD after the El Reno tornado, you know, to me, it's always about recognizing, you know, what your limits are, right? And what's that moment going to be that pushes you beyond your limit that you're comfortable with. And so for me, you know, generally speaking, I'm almost hands off on severe weather these days. And the Weather Channel doesn't really do a lot of tornado chasing anymore. There are so many chasers out there these days that we contract with a lot of them to give us just a big web of coverage out there, more than we could have done when I was doing it, where we're just a single spot on a map, right? And so I think there's a benefit to the viewers for that. You know, for me, you know, hurricanes can be very intense. We certainly know that, and went through some very intense stuff last year with Helene and with Milton. But I think it's, you know, for me, I go into those storms now more prepared mentally than maybe I was back when, say, the El Reno tornado occurred, where, although, you know, I think that Joplin, you know, the Joplin tornado changed me in quite a few ways, especially when it comes to having empathy for storm victims and, you know, really large scale tragedies. But I think for, you know, those of us that storm chase, and we sometimes see some bad stuff, right? Stuff that can be traumatizing. It's how do you cope with that? How do you either compartmentalize that, or how do you talk about it and be open with yourself, or you know, get help to help you get through those moments where you know, you're struggling. Right. And I think that that's important for everyone, because there are a lot of us that are in that same boat, right? A lot of us that see a lot of different things each and every year because of what your profession is. You name the season, there's some tragedy that will occur. And, you know, you never know what that moment's going to be that's going to trigger something in your mind that doesn't want to cooperate, right? For me, it was the El Reno event. But honestly, with that, and if people don't know the story, for me, it didn't happen right away. And I think I struggled slightly with it, you know, maybe for about a year after the tornado. But for me, it didn't happen until 5 years later. And it was me doing a podcast about the 5-year anniversary of the tornado that ended up taking me back to that moment. And then from there was a downward spiral for me that really got quite bad for me, where I needed to seek professional help and find a way to get myself out of what was a really bad place. So I would say this, it's always good to talk. There's always somebody willing to listen because there's probably somebody that's been through it just like you have. And so having open conversations with yourself and other people that are like-minded and have similar experiences can go a long way. And if need be, professional help, and that it can help you give you, for me, coping mechanisms that puts me in the right frame of mind to storm chase again, especially hurricanes.
And you know what, Mike, and Phil, talked about that and asked that question in a beautiful way, because I was at the National Storm Chaser Summit when you gave the keynote, and it was phenomenal. You had every person there, storm chaser, meteorologist, and we were just locked in on your presentation. And for you to share that story and how you were able to cope, and how you've been, understanding your limits yourself, was really powerful, I think, to so many. So I just want to say thank you for that, because it's helped me and other people very close to me quite a bit. So thank you, Mike, for that. And I do want to spin it in a different way, talking about winter storms. We're going to end your questioning on winter storms. So
my favorite.
What was that, Mike?
But winter storms, my favorite.
Yes. Let's talk about that. So 30-year career is incredible. What was like the magic moment that you've had covering a blizzard, some kind of extreme winter storm? Is there some moment that you're just like, wow, I can't believe like our atmosphere can do this, or this is just incredible to witness?
Oh yeah, definitely. Big lake effect snow event that was back in 20. Oh my gosh, I can't get my dates right. 2014. Anyway,
Yeah.
big lake effect storm off of Lake Erie, right? And we were going to the south towns there of Buffalo to go cover this lake effect event. It was going to last a few days, and the forecast was pretty big for snow. And we were trying to find a place to stay, and we ended up in Hamburg. Honestly, the only reason we stayed in Hamburg because it was the only place that had a hotel that we could stay at, and that's how we ended up there. But what was crazy about the whole moment, we were in Hamburg, New York, is that it snowed 7 feet in 3 days.
Oh my God.
And it was the most epic snowstorm I have ever covered by far, right? We were stuck at the hotel. You couldn't go anywhere. People were stranded at the hotel, and the hotel backed right up to I-90. And I can tell a couple real quick stories, but there was a moment where we had myself and a producer, and then our photographer, Matt, he had a different vehicle he was driving. Well, he drove off into a ditch. And so his car this is kind of at the beginning of the event. And so Christina and myself, our producer, we picked him up, and we're turning into the hotel because we got to go check into our hotel. This is where we're going to stay. The snow was so heavy, we couldn't see the road. We were going like 1 mile an hour, and Matt, our photographer, gets out and he's walking in front of the car. He's got this big flashlight on the back of his head, and so that we could see him. Because we couldn't see where we were going. Literally, he was 10 feet in front of the truck, and we could barely see him. But then there was another moment where we actually did a broadcast. We hiked from the hotel through the woods, and then right to I-90 was shut down. We did a broadcast from the middle of the interstate, and it was just kind of surreal to be standing on an interstate with literally not a soul anywhere because it had been shut down because there was so much snow. But it took us 4 days before we could leave there. It was epic. It was the most epic thing.
What did you eat? Like, did you just have food?
What was great was the hotel was so prepared. They had stocked up on food, and so they literally had food to serve everybody for days that was there. Now, the hotel wasn't that full. I think maybe it was like a third full maybe or something like that. So it didn't have to serve an entire hotel.
The convention wasn't in town.
But no, but it was great. Like, we had everything we needed. What's the great thing about covering, snowstorms as opposed to other things like a hurricane in particular is you don't generally lose power. Usually it takes something pretty extreme to lose power in a hurricane or in a snowstorm. So, you had electricity, you had heat, we had food, and we had, warm beds to sleep in. And so everything was cool. And we would just go out and do broadcasts. And every single day it was something new. It was another new foot of snow. It was no new foot of snow. And it was just incredible. It really was.
I'm going to bring in one of VIP friends of the show, Dan Wallace. Dan, you got a question you want to ask Mike?
Yeah. Out of your amazing career of 30 years, is there one moment that stands out in your mind that you'll never forget?
There are many, but the one that's probably at the top of the list is the Joplin tornado. To me, that was just like a moment that kind of just changed me as a meteorologist. You kind of, as a meteorologist, there's a broadcaster in general, you just you stick to the facts, you report, you show people what's happening. And that was a moment that was different, right? We had gotten there so quickly after the tornado that, I saw things that I never want to see again. And it was really that moment where I thought to myself, my gosh, this is what it, and even though I was not a victim of the tornado, it felt like you got the sense for what people go through because everything was so fresh. We showed up on the scene 9 minutes after the tornado had struck, and it was true chaos. It was like nothing I had ever seen before, because typically a tornado would happen and we would travel to it and a lot of stuff would be cleaned up and what have you after the fact. This was different, right? And it was so tragic, and coming on the heels of the super outbreak, the previous month, your senses were just heightened for that moment. But it gave me it gave me a sense of empathy that maybe I hadn't had before for what true natural disaster victims go through. And it was very real when you saw the tears and the pain and the heartache and the injury and the death. And it was just a changing moment for me. So that one stands at the top. Katrina's there at number 2, I would say. But Joplin is alone at the top.
Thank you. Phil,
you're on mute.
That's some crazy thunder.
I'm on mute. Mike, that's the sound, not the crickets you just heard, but that thunder. It's time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of flashy and brilliant questions that we always get to play with our guests. And so, Mike, just for you, because we have waited 10 years that we have been doing this podcast to try and get you on the show, we are bringing back an oldie and goodie and a fan favorite.
Okay.
We're playing Supermodel or Hurricane.
No
Hurricane
way.
or Supermodel. All right, so I'm going to go through this quick. Here's. I'm just going to give you a name, and you have to tell me, is this the name of a potential NOAA 2025 tropical storm hurricane name? So is this on the list of this year, or is it the name of a famous supermodel? Just hurricane or supermodel?
Oh boy. Okay.
That's all you got to say. So here we go. And if you have any, if you really struggle a little bit, you're welcome to ask the freaks. They can jump in as well.
Okay.
But here's the first one. Melissa, hurricane or supermodel?
Hurricane.
Correct. That is correct. Let's see. In 2019, it was a tropical storm that lingered in the Atlantic, but no major landfall. Okay, next one. Naomi, hurricane or supermodel?
Supermodel.
Wow, 2 for 2.
Naomi Campbell.
Yes.
British supermodel, popular in the 90s. All right, next one. Heidi.
Supermodel.
Yeah.
Heidi
Wow, he's 3 for 3.
Klum. Heidi Klum. Yep. All right, next one. Rebecca.
Supermodel.
Oh, that was close.
Now, Mike, I'll say this. There might be a supermodel named Rebecca out there somewhere that I wasn't aware of that you are. But Rebecca is also one of the
there. I thought that,
one of the 2025 Atlantic tropical names. All right, here we go. Kendall.
Supermodel.
Yeah.
Kendall Jenner.
Wow.
Kendall Jenner. Yep. Tanya.
Tanya is a hurricane.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
If we make it that far, I don't know if we're gonna get.
Solid.
I don't know if we're gonna get down to the T's the way things are going. We'll see. Olga.
A little hurricane.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be a rough supermodel name, I think.
You know it.
But it's going to be a hell of a hurricane when
Philly's on Hobgood status. We played this with Dr. Hobgood, Mike,
okay.
and
Yeah.
you're tracking right with them right now.
Hey,
Yep.
all
All
right.
right, I got two more. Lily.
Lily is hurricane. Oh, I should have asked for help.
Lily
I thought it
Aldridge. Lily Aldridge, American supermodel, Victoria's Secret angel, and Sports Illustrated swimsuit appearances. All right.
I chased
All
a
right.
Hurricane Lily in 2002 or 3.
Did you?
Whoa,
It's not on the 2025 list.
No,
That's
not on the 25 list.
So.
No.
All right, last one, Mike. It's all or nothing. You're all in. Wendy.
Oh, what do you guys think?
Oh my God.
I'm thinking hurricane.
I'm thinking hurricane, but I don't know.
Thumbs up on hurricane.
Hurricanes. Yes. Way to finish strong, man. All in. A little hesitant, but he went all in. That was good. That was good. All right. We appreciate you playing along and hanging out with us, Mike. Do me, if you could do a quick favor, if you can give us a quick little sound bite and just say, this is Mike Bettis of the Weather Channel and you're listening. Don't say you're listening. Say, this is Mike Bettis of the Weather Channel and this is the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Sure. Hey, this is Mike Bettis from the Weather Channel, and this is the one and only Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Well done.
Oh!
Well done. All right, now what everybody wants to know is where, we were talking about reporting on social media and YouTube and all that stuff. Where can people find you and follow
all
you?
those places, right? Although my kid says, Dad, you need more YouTube followers.
Now's the time.
Yeah,
All 5 of ours can now follow you.
Yeah, well, I'll have 6. All those places, just Mike Bettis on X and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. It's pretty. There aren't a lot of Mike Bettises out there, so I kind of have I've cornered the market on the Mike Bettis social handles.
Do you have a TikTok? Do you TikTok?
Dude, you do not want to see me dance. Like, it is TikToks. The TikToks are for the kids. Like, I'm too old to be on TikTok. I know that people are like, you're not. I would embarrass my child if I was on TikTok. He would be like,
that's part of being a parent.
Stop.
Exactly.
Stop. So
part of being a parent. So
I don't know. I need some help on that. My wife does TikTok, and so maybe I'll have her help. But no one wants to see me on TikTok.
Mike, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back with Weather Fools. So stay tuned.
Send me a postcard. Drop.
The Stormfront Freaks is now available on the Weather Store. Come shop our catalog of shirts, hats, and hoodies, all with our Stormfront Freaks logo and Outbreak logo. Plus, you'll find all your other favorite weather geek and storm chasing gear, footwear, and accessories. Visit the Weather Store at thewxstore.com, the exclusive supplier of the Stormfront Freaks.
Hi, this is Gary England. It's Friday night in the big town, baby, all dressed up, no place to go. Jump back, throw me down Loretta. Hey, be sure and listen in every week, right? Every week, the Stormfront Freaks podcast, baby. It's the best in the world.
Let's take a drive under the somber sky. Let's take a drive under the moon.
All right. Woo! It's that time of the show. It is Weather Fool time. Are you guys ready to be like, what was that person thinking? This is where our team, the Stormfront Freaks, we go deep into the archives, go into the web, and we're just like, what are people doing? Why are they acting so crazy? We find people who are just like, yes, I would never do that in a million years. And sometimes we find ourselves. So this is Weather Fools. And I'm so excited to geek out about all of these. And I've been a weather fool one time or another. But let's see which of our freaks have weather fools for us? Yay! Okay, let's do Serena first because Phil
Okay.
always has 10.
All right, that works. So I didn't search the dark web too far, and I would totally do this one. So it's hard to call this one a weather fool, but I really like this clip. So this is a clip I found from Mezzo Hunter Weather. He's out chasing, and then a shed crosses the road.
Oh no!
And I
Like
just,
a rowboat.
It's just, and then he keeps
Oh,
on
my.
going. So he's driving at a reasonable speed for the conditions. Clearly, this is a crazy spot to be in.
Holy
but,
crap.
There goes the shed, and he pauses and lets it go. Kind of like, we got cows. He's got sheds. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great clip.
Mike, does that obscured vision while driving remind you of anything?
Every storm I've ever chased, for the most part, yes. Although that took me back to Hurricane Ivan in 2004, where literally a big Coke vending machine blew past me during
my
the
God.
hurricane. That's what that reminded me of.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. I feel like if you see something like that, you're in the wrong area and you need to just turn your head.
Let me move a little.
Maybe you're in the right area, Jen.
Or
Maybe
the
it's
right area, depending on what
I'd say
your
that's actually the
goal is.
right area, Jen. That's the area that we want to be. The
This
weather
is
nerds.
true. I've unfortunately been in that area before. Okay, Phil, let's see what you
All right,
got.
I'm going to surprise everybody. I've only got one to share with you tonight.
What?
Or this afternoon, actually. This one I call Sprite Link to Texas Flooding. So this was an image on Twitter or X from the space station that caught a Sprite over Texas, over a Texas storm. And of course, someone posted it during some of the major Texas flooding that we had. It's probably a month or so old, but and of course they were like, is that a coincidence that this strange phenomenon is happening during all this massive Texas flash flooding and flooding? And again, it's good old conspiracy theorists that want to just link something that's cool and exciting and unique in weather, and then link it to somehow the government's doing something to.
Phil, that guy's the worst. I think his name's Into Thin Air, Matthew Capucci. There's going to be a debate at some point between those two, but that guy is the absolute worst. He's just like, oh, look, the sky looks weird. It's the government. It's just like, okay,
Great.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Phil, thank you so much. Serena, thank you so much as well. You can watch these and see more. Just go to stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 244, show notes.
Send me a postcard, drop me a line.
You've got mail, baby, yeah.
All right, we do get mail with the freaks. People do actually reach out to us from time to time, and I've got one to share with you. This was from I-65 Weather, Kentucky. This was from Twitter. They said the WX app of the future. It's a game changer for many. This is in response, by the way, to the last episode we had with the guys from Weatherfront. But he said the folks at Weatherfront are resourceful, easy with customer service. For any questions, says they got their ducks in a row. They are on live tonight with folks at Stormfront Freaks. Great stuff tonight. So thanks to I-65 Weather. And we might read your comments on the next show. Just either at us at Twitter or X. How else? Oh, you can also comment on the Apple Podcast app, or just send us an email. That's the old-fashioned way now, Mike, is to send an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com. But yeah, that's like the old way now to communicate. Can you believe that? That's crazy.
It.
But folks, I think that just about does it for this episode of the Stormfront Freaks podcast. So thanks for tuning in, watching, and listening, however you happen to take our content in. But do us a favor, Brady, if you like the show, what should people do?
Smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. Take your mouse and do it right now.
Very good. Also, thanks to our special guest tonight, Mike Bettis. Mike, thanks for joining the Freaks.
Thank you, guys. Great to get freaky with you.
Yeah, we appreciate you finally coming on. Let's quick go around the horn, find out where people can follow our co-host. Jennifer, I'll start with you.
Yeah, on X, you can find me at @jwatson_WX, Instagram and TikTok, Jennifer Weather.
Dan.
Dan Wallace WX on YouTube.
Okay. Brady?
Stormcat 5. And Mike, I think, I also need to learn about TikTok. So maybe we both could take a class together, because you don't want to see me dance either.
Videos together would be epic,
That would be fun.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And Serena, who is on TikTok.
I was going to say, I am on TikTok. You can find me there at WX Serena, WXCYRENA, also on Facebook, Instagram, and the shorts here. Don't forget the books, the weather story and the hurricane story that I've written, and it's going to be in time for Christmas and the holidays. We'll talk about it more in the future. The tornado story is coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Looking forward to Francis Fox hitting the tornadoes. And on that note, our next episode, everybody, it's a couple that actually got engaged in front of a South Dakota tornado. Tornado Pagey and Bryce Shelton are going to be joining us. It's going to be live right here on YouTube. Thursday, September 25th at our normal time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, or you can catch the audio podcast uploaded over the weekend. So for those of you watching, stick around for our after show party. But for Jen, Dan, Brady, Mike, and Serena, I'm going to signal the all clear, and we'll catch you guys next time. So good night, everybody. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Our bi-weekly show is available on your favorite audio podcast player and on YouTube, along with other videos from the Stormfront Freaks network, including forecasts and live storm coverage from Stormcat 5 and weather education from WX Serena. Find them at youtube.com/stormfrontfreaks. You can support the Freaks at YouTube by subscribing and becoming a member to take advantage of member-only benefits. For show notes, past shows, videos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. If you would like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on social media. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
I don't think anybody was drinking a mimosa today.
No.
But Mike, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for sticking around too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun. Sorry it took me so long to come on with you all, but that was awesome. Thanks.
Cool.
Mike,
Appreciate it. Have a great day,
really
Mike.
great.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
great one.
Mike.
Go Bucks.
Thank you so
Go
much,
Wings.
Mike.
Go Bucks. That's right.
Thank you.
Bye, Mike. Oh my gosh, that was so great.
Angela, sorry I missed you. Shoot.
That's all good.
Hi, Angela.
When did you come? When were you on? I'm sorry.
Like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
So you were in the first.
No, I came on right after the break.
Oh, okay. Got it. I'm
works.
sorry.
That's like,
You guys, that was a great show. It
was a great everybody show. for finding time at middle of the day. I appreciate it.
It does feel so weird in the middle of the day, guys, because I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to bed now.
I know. My boss pinged me. I'm like, I don't want to go back to work. I'm just like,
I know. This was my lunch break, so I got to get back in, get to work.
Yeah, that's me too.
But it was fun. Now I'm an early bird. I thought late nights are hard for me, to be honest, but I do them. So I'm like, yay, I get to go to bed at my normal time tonight.
Serena, I'm the same, 100%. I'm like, caffeine, just need the things.
So I feel so pathetic.
I don't even know.
No, you've got kids. I get it.
Mike was great though. This was an awesome show, and
it was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, and I've tried. He's asked at least 2, if not 3 times before this, and was quote unquote kind of turned down or told that he couldn't. And we've gone through phases with the Weather Channel of getting people approved and not approved, and so when he said finally that he could, I'm like, okay, Noon,
Yes.
we'll make it happen. We'll figure
Yeah,
it out.
absolutely.
I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
I wonder what's changed. Like why the shift? We don't need to get into that. But
yeah, I don't know.
You know who else would be really fun if other people are willing to do this time once? I'd really love to get Marshall Shepard because I know he won't do these time. He won't do the crazy times either, but he would do this, and I would make this work to get him on the show.
I think I did reach out. I reached out to him once before as well.
Yeah, he was like, I won't. He's like, I won't do it outside family. Like, I won't do it during my family hours.
Yeah, I don't think I'd shared with him what time yet. I kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of got an impression that he wasn't interested. And I don't know if it's because he does the podcast for
The Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel.
Fair. Yeah,
so
conflicting
if it was
interests
a little
there.
bit conflict, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd be able to.
That might have been it. Not sure. Everybody say goodbye to our lunch crowd.
Bye, lunch crowd.
Goodbye, lunch
That's
crowd.
hanging out with us.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks everybody for coming on and hanging out with us at a strange time.
I know. We love you guys. A normal hour.